That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Thank you for listening. Yesterday marked the first day of the new legislative session in Albany. Lawmakers gathered, exchanged pleasantries, and set the stage for the battles ahead, with Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie and Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins sworn back into their posts. Speeches were made, priorities were outlined, and the buzzword of the session appears to be affordability. Leaders in both parties are acknowledging the financial strain New Yorkers are under, and they're promising to tackle everything from child care to housing to health care. Lofty goals, no doubt, but the proof will be in the pudding, or rather in the budget, which is due by April 1st. Now, if you're paying attention, enjoy it while it lasts, because this might be the most coverage Albany gets all year, at least until the budget. Once the budget process kicks into gear, the daily work of the legislature often falls into a media black hole. The press coverage of Albany's day-to-day happenings is abysmally lacking compared to the wall-to-wall attention on New York City politics. Albany might as well be in a different time zone, and that's a shame. Because what happens in Albany shapes so much of our daily lives. Decisions on taxes, school funding, public transit, climate goals, even crime policy and red light cameras often begin and end in our state capital. Yet, thanks to sparse reporting, the average New Yorker knows far less about their state lawmakers than their city council member or even their president. Imagine if every major media outlet in New York City had a dedicated Albany reporter or even an Albany bureau. It would mean better scrutiny, more informed citizens, and maybe, just maybe, a government that feels more accountable. Unfortunately, the current lack of attention only feeds public disengagement, making Albany's often opaque dealings even harder to penetrate. So, as we embark on this new session, let's hope that more reporters and, by extension, more New Yorkers start paying attention. Because what happens in Albany doesn't stay in Albany. It lands right in your wallet, your commute, thank you congestion pricing, and your kid's classroom. For now, the stage is set. The players are in position, and the drama is about to unfold. The question is, will you be watching? Or will Albany's work go largely unnoticed, as it so often does? This is going to be a particularly interesting session because for the first time in years, the Democratic supermajority in the state legislature has been broken up, with Brooklyn Republican Stephen Chan's win for state Senate. Will that make any sort of difference? We'll see.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Ladies, you'll end up shopping for your guy's deodorant, right? So try Degree's Original Cool Rush. You see, last year, Degree changed the formula, and men were mad. One guy even started a petition. So Degree admitted they messed up and brought the Original Cool Rush scent back. It's clean, crisp, and actually smells like someone you want to cuddle. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So toss one in your cart and find out why it's the best-selling men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Campaign season has officially begun for New York City's community school boards. And if you're a parent with strong opinions about the direction of our schools, this is your chance to step up. Starting January 13th, parents can apply to run for a seat on one of the city's 32 parent councils, with elections taking place from late April through May 13th. Too often, We hear frustration from parents about the policies that shape our children's education, complaints about class sizes, curriculum changes, or admissions policies abound. But how often do those frustrations turn into action? Here's an opportunity to do just that. Run for a seat, represent your community, and have a say in shaping the future of education in our city. Parent councils may not be as high profile as the mayor's office or the Department of Education, but they play a vital role. They influence everything from budget allocations to policy implementation at the district level. These councils are the bridge between schools and families, ensuring that parents' voices are heard. But make no mistake, this year's election comes with baggage. The last race saw its share of controversy, including calls for recounts and audits, endorsements by groups like Place NYC, debates over selective admissions policies, and disputes about representation created significant tension. Add to that City Controller Brad Lander's audit pointing to a need for more transparency and fairness, and it's clear that this year's elections are as much about rebuilding trust as they are about electing leaders. That said, if you've ever felt sidelined or ignored when it comes to education decisions, this is your moment. The process may not be perfect, but democracy rarely is. What matters is participation. Running for a seat or even casting a vote sends a message. Parents care, and we're paying attention. Schools Chancellor Melissa Avilos Ramos has emphasized the importance of civil discourse, urging parents to find common ground, even when disagreements arise. It's a tall order in a city as diverse and opinionated as ours, but it's also a challenge worth taking on. So if you're a parent with ideas, passion, and the willingness to roll up your sleeves, why not throw your hat in the ring? This is your chance to shape policy, advocate for your kids, and make a difference. The window to apply opens January 13th. Don't just sit on the sidelines. Get involved, because the future of New York City's schools isn't just decided in a boardroom. It's decided by parents like you.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
The Other Side at Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
This story about Winnie Greco, Mayor Eric Adams' former Asian affairs advisor, reads like something out of a spy novel. For years, while operating in her official City Hall capacity, Greco met regularly with Chinese government officials and organizations tied to the Chinese Communist Party. Not just once or twice, but dozens of times. She even held meetings at New World Mall, which was raided by the FBI last year, along with her homes. And let's not forget her private dinners with China's consul general or her association with groups directly linked to Beijing's United Front, a global influence campaign aimed at manipulating foreign governments and communities. It's shocking that she got away with this for as long as she did. But what's even more alarming is what this says about the lack of vetting and oversight in City Hall. Winnie Greco wasn't some crony hired as a political favor. It wasn't the mayor's buddy like Jeffrey Madry or the Banks brothers. She was supposed to be a professional, hired for her competence and connections in the Asian community. Instead, she acted as a conduit for Chinese Communist Party influence operations, giving access to a regime that's no friend to New York or the United States. This is worse than the usual corruption stories about the mayor's inner circle. This isn't about lining pockets or cutting corners. This is about potential national security risks. Greco reportedly met 11 times with China's New York consul general, and she continued engaging with pro-Beijing groups even after her homes were raided by federal agents. And yet, for months, she remained on City Hall's payroll, connecting nearly $200,000 a year. My goodness. Where was the accountability? Where were the safeguards to prevent something like this from happening? Mayor Adams has often emphasized the importance of working with ethnic communities, and that's fine. But building bridges should never mean opening the door for foreign influence or worse, espionage. This case is part of a larger pattern. Federal prosecutors have recently charged other New York officials with acting as agents for Beijing, and Greco's ties to questionable campaign donations for Mayor Adams, some allegedly involving straw donors, raise even more red flags. This isn't just about Greco. It's about the culture at City Hall that allowed this to happen. If we don't demand better vetting, stricter oversight, and greater transparency, what's stopping the next Winnie Greco from walking through those same doors? Mayor Adams, you owe the people of this city answers and changes.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
Your snacking routine can get a little dull. Time for a light and fit remix. Like a crunchy storm of graham cookies, caramel pearls, and dark chocolate, showering down into a smooth, creamy yogurt. Enjoy 3 light and fit remix varieties with craveable flavors and up to 120 calories and 10 grams of protein per 4.5-ounce serving. See remixyogurt.com.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
It seems the state's Community Commission on Reparations Remedies, how's that for a name, is requesting additional time and funds to complete their study on the impact of New York's role in the slave trade. While this may sound like a procedural update to some, I can't help but see it as an example of government excess and inefficiency. First, let's talk about the numbers. The commission was given $5 million to conduct this study, an amount most people would agree is substantial. Yet halfway through their timeline, they're claiming the state's hiring process is too slow, and they're asking for even more money. At what point do we start holding such initiatives accountable for delivering results within the constraints that they were originally given? Moreover, the premise of extending the timeline seems to admit poor planning from the outset. If California took 2 years to complete its reparations study, why was this commission only given 1 year in the first place? And if they've barely started their work, what has the initial $5 million been spent on so far? These are questions that taxpayers deserve the answers to. The idea of reparations is already controversial. I am totally opposed to it. And studies like these can be perceived as performative exercises designed to appease specific interest groups rather than producing actionable outcomes. If the Commission's work is critical, as its advocates suggest, and I doubt, why was it underfunded and undermanned to begin with? This reeks of legislative half measures designed to signal virtue rather than solve problems. Adding insult to injury is the audacity of lawmakers to ask for more money during tough economic times when countless New Yorkers are struggling. Schools need funding, infrastructure is crumbling, and public safety is a major concern. Yet we're prioritizing a drawn-out study that will almost certainly spark divisive debates without providing real solutions? Come on. Instead of continually throwing money and time at this, perhaps it's time to acknowledge that the issue of reparations requires national, not state-level discussion. New York's role in the slave trade, while undeniable, is a historical issue that deserves scholarly study, not political grandstanding with taxpayer dollars, which is unfortunately all this is. This commission's plea for more resources reflects the kind of bureaucratic bloat that frustrates everyday citizens. Instead of continuing down this path, lawmakers should refocus on issues that provide tangible benefits to all New Yorkers. Let's stop treating taxpayers like ATMs for pet projects with unclear objectives and no end in sight.
Beam me up!
To be continued.